What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bourbon and Bets. I am your host, Zach Stonerock, and joining me again today, I have my co-host, Mr. Avery Cunningham. Avery, welcome back to the show.
Hey, welcome back, Zach, and happy anniversary to you, pal.
Thank you. It was a good day spending the weekend with Taylor. Did a lot. Went back to the restaurant where we had some food catered for our wedding. Then went up and got our anniversary cake from the area where we got married. Marion, Ohio, beautiful this time of year. Top tourist destination if people are looking for a good place to honeymoon. Marion, Ohio, it should be at the top of everybody's list.
You know, I was with you at first, and then I knew you were being facetious when you said top honeymoon destination. So that's disappointing. I was riding with you for a second because it is beautiful. It's some beautiful scenery up there, but
it's it is a nice small town. It's got a lot of history, a lot of age. I think President Harding was from there. I'm pretty sure that there's a memorial there for him. So I think Ohio has the most U.S. presidents have come out of Ohio.
I think there's 7 of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. So
yeah, I really don't feel like naming them because I just can't remember everybody right now. But if you ask me maybe 5 minutes ago, 5 minutes later, I probably remember. So.
Okay. Well, I know we got Harding. That's pretty much what I got. So
we got Harding,
Cleveland.
Who
was Cleveland from Ohio?
I can't remember. I know William Howard Taft is from Ohio.
Bro, Taft was so big. I think he got stuck in a bathtub once.
Is that a true story?
I'm 90% sure he was a big boy.
How big was he?
If you put him next to Jared Lorenzen, R.I.P., Hefty Lefty, they were both big boys.
But he wasn't the tallest because Abe Lincoln was the tallest at 6'4". So imagine how tall he was.
Bro, why do they make Abe Lincoln seem like he was 6'11"? Like he's 6. I'm 6'4". Like it's.
But that's still tall, 18 in the 1800s. Like now people are 7'2", just walking. Average people just 7'2" walking down the street. You see, but yeah, 6'4" is pretty tall back in the day. But you see his statue. He still looks pretty lengthy.
Yeah, let's. I'm gonna look up that thing about Taft real quick.
All right.
All right, so I guess so. Maybe he hasn't got stuck in the tub, but so it says Taft may have had larger dimensions, and he is known to have overflowed a White House bathtub. However, there's no evidence that proves he got stuck in the bathtub. So that's me. I allegedly he got stuck. Allegedly, I'm not trying to slander this man's name, but he was a big boy.
Yeah, no doubt. Still one of Ohio's presidents. So
yeah, that's
coming from Ohio.
That's something that we should be proud to hang our hat on for sure. So, yeah. Anyway, man, you got some exciting news too. I don't know if you want to share that on here or not.
Oh yeah, man. My wife and I are pregnant again, and I'm gonna have another daughter coming to the family in March, man. So exciting times, man. Our family's growing.
Well, congrats, man. There's not two better people in the world who are two of the best parents I've ever met, and it's gonna be tough, man. Amari's already perfect, so I don't know if the world can handle 2 perfect little girls coming into the world.
Well, we're gonna have to try. The world's just gonna have to get used to us. So we're going, the goal is to have 5, 6, 7 kids. No.
Oh yeah, I'm assuming Brandy's off camera there, shaking her head no viciously right now.
Yeah, she's gave me the look. So I'm just cut my losses there.
There we go. All right, man. Well, congrats. That's huge. That's exciting. Before we dive into the episode today, I do just want to hit on, let's see here. It's October 23rd. So we are officially, let me check my calendar here. We are 2 months and about 9 days away from sports gambling being actually turned on and legal in Ohio. So super excited for that. It's been a long time coming. I think it was back in February or January of last year where actually it was before then. I think it was last September maybe. So not this past one, but the one before that in 2021, when sports gambling was actually like legalized in Ohio. They just didn't have the systems in place. So that seems like forever ago. But it looks like we're finally getting there. We're going to be able to do a lot more with this show when that happens. Because right now, we're using some of our friends in other states to be able to do what we need to do and play some of these parlays. So having that agility to be able to go in and add bets and make bets real time and all of that's going to add a whole nother dimension to this show. And it's also going to be big with NBA season starting up, NHL starting up, big hockey guy, so it's gonna give us a lot of flexibility and a lot of agility to do a bunch of different things. So I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, me too.
So let's do a quick recap of last week. Our top 5 picks. So you and Tim both went 2 and 3. I went 3 and 2. So I'm going to go ahead and celebrate my first victory of the season of having more accurate picks there. Going 60%, not great. And gambling in the gambling world, 60% is really good actually. But as far as picking 5 games that I was most confident about, it's still not great, but it is a much better week than going 1 and 4 or 0 and 5. So I'm gonna go ahead and celebrate my victory and move on though, because the most important game is the next game. So
that's facts, man. And last week was really wacky, man. So I mean, for the fact that you went 3 and 2, good for you, man. So I don't expect you to beat me a whole lot more this season, but hey, man, you got to give you your flowers when they're due.
You make it really tough, man. Like I just want you to be like a little more upset, but like you were just you're so humble that let me enjoy it, man. I need for you to be like sad or something. Throw something.
Hey, nah, it's. I mean, it happens. I'm still, in the league for the season. So
I was just about to say. So you moved to 9 and 11 on the year. I'm 6 and 14. So we got a couple more good weeks. Couple more good weeks, man. I'm gonna be up there with you.
Good luck.
But anyway, let's go ahead and just jump into to this week's slate of games. So I believe this is week 7 in the NFL. So let's go ahead and just dive into it. There's some teams that are starting to have bye weeks and different things like that. We saw some bye weeks creep in last week. But let's just go ahead and go back and forth. We'll do our top 5 picks for the week, and then I'll fill in the blanks with the big boy parlay. Big boy parlay this week is plus 17,544. So you bet 100, you can win 17 grand. You bet $10, you win 1,700. You bet $1,000, you win 175,000. So lots of money to be made. Obviously, we haven't hit one of these yet, but I'm feeling pretty good about this. However, there is one game that, due to an injury, I'm not as sold on anymore. It's not one of my top 5 picks, but it's still in the parlay. So we'll talk about that one when we make it there. But we'll kick things off with you, Avery. What's one of your top picks?
All right, so I'm gonna do a little bit of a pivot this week. I'm going Carolina under their implied point total. So Carolina under 12.5. Unless you've been living under a rock, you've seen the news that Christian McCaffrey has been shipped off to San Francisco 49ers. So good for them. Hope the best for them. I'm pretty sure Zach, you're dying on the inside after that trade, but you just don't want to show it. I also got rid of Robbie Anderson. PJ Walker will be the starting quarterback this week. Last week he had negative air yards, which basically means that most of his passes were thrown behind the line of scrimmage. So it's just not a lot of confidence, for PJ Walker going there. You could just tell just by the play calling. You look at last week, like talking about that wacky week that was last week. Look at that Tampa Bay and Steelers game. Tampa Bay got embarrassed, like especially in the fourth quarter when they were trying to get the ball back when it went 20-18. They gave up at least 2 or 3 third and longs to Chase Claypool. Mitch Trubisky just came in, when Kenny Pickett got that concussion, was kind of looking like did his best Ryan Fitzpatrick impression. Remember when Tua's rookie year, when and then Ryan Fitzpatrick would just come in and just make magic happen. So it's kind of like just kind of like a relief pitcher in a sense. It was very weird, but Yeah, I think they were embarrassed last week, so I expect them to come out on fire this week against that team that's that's just like been dreadful this year. One of last in yards, last in third down conversion. So 12 and a half isn't a lot of points. I mean, they can get a touchdown, a fluke touchdown, and 2 field goals, but I'm going with it. This I think it's plus 120. I think when it comes to the odds. So it could be a good way to make some money.
Yeah, I mean, and shout out to you for taking the first point total for a single team this year. Safe pick. I tell you what, man, when you think about the Panthers, obviously, we just gave up Christian McCaffrey. A lot of people are questioning that trade, and because rumor was that the price was 2 first-rounders. When that came out, I was like, there's no way. You have an injury-prone running back who's 26 years old, which is by no means old, but in the NFL, like that's where running backs start to typically decline a little bit. They're at their peak at that point, so typically their best years are starting to be behind them. But I mean, I'll take I think it was a second, third, fourth in 2023, and then a fifth in 2024. So I'll take that. However, back to the main point with this game is I could very well see Carolina get shut out here. There's not a lot of weapons on offense. They're talking about doing a running back by committee. PJ Walker, like you said, no passes really beyond the line of scrimmage last week, which is crazy. I would love to see them have a little bit more confidence. And at this point, you have nothing to lose. Like sling the ball downfield. Let's see if we can maybe squeak some plays out. I would lean towards the under on this also, but I mean, 12 and a half is a low point total. So I would stay away from it, but I can respect the pick.
Yeah, and it was like when I looked at the totals this morning, it was plus 120 or something like that. But now it's like minus 104. So those odds kind of went up a little bit for the under to hit. So
yeah, so I mean, that means people are expecting them to stay under that. So,
but however, the over is minus 118. So basically higher odds for the over to hit, which makes sense because I think about 75% of the time, teams in the NFL at least score 13 points in a week.
Right. So that'll be an interesting one to see play out. Again, because 13 points is not a ton of points, but it seems like it's like climbing Everest for that offense right now.
Right. I mean, and you can fluke into like 13 points, you're just an NFL football team. You can, get, scoop a score, interception for a touchdown. I don't expect Tom Brady to have any turnovers. But I mean, you just never know. So, but I'm going, I mean, with a week, another week healthier, Chris Godwin, is starting to get his legs under him a little bit, starting to get some more targets. Definitely a buy low candidate if you're, for your fantasy football players. So yeah, I mean, Mike Evans, he's been pretty much, as you probably know, he's been terrorizing Carolina Panthers,
years.
Yeah,
he's the new Julio Jones, man.
Yeah.
Julio Jones used to just torch us.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean. So yeah, I think the under. I think the under 12 and a half. I can see it, definitely see it happening. Maybe 9, 10 points, if that.
Okay. Well, just looking at this game, and I'm not going to register this as an actual pick for you. Tampa's favored by 13 and a half. You think they got that easily in the bag, or I mean, that's a lot of points. 13 and a half. I mean, you're essentially saying that they're going to win by 2 touchdowns. But what's your take on that?
I would lean Tampa Bay with the spread. I would definitely take the under though. As far I think the point total is 38 and a half. So I'll definitely lean the under on that.
Okay. I stayed away from it. Again, there's the fandom aspect, and then there's also just the aspect of I don't know if they're going to fluke into a bunch of points or not. So I wanted nothing to do with this game. Okay. Well, we'll go to my first pick, and it's Seattle at the Chargers. I'm actually going to take the Chargers -5 here. I think, Seattle came out, what was it, last week? Who did they play last week? It wasn't the Cardinals, was it?
Cardinals. Yeah, Seattle played the Cardinals. Chargers played the Broncos.
Yeah. So looking at what Seattle did to the Cardinals, I mean they looked decent. They didn't look great, but I mean that's the thing with Seattle. Is Seattle's always going to kind of they're always a tough team. Geno Smith's still not playing terrible. Kenneth Walker could have a coming out party real soon. He's been playing well, so I mean this could easily be a game where he just goes off. But I trust the Chargers defense more so than what I trust the Cardinals defense, despite what we saw on Thursday Night Football just recently. But I like Justin Herbert. I like Austin Eckler. Keenan Allen is still questionable. I'm thinking he's probably going to play, but I don't know if you've seen anything that said he's ruled out yet.
I've seen he's game time decision. I think he's going to try it out just to see how he feels. But they're cognizant of the fact that their bye week is next week, so maybe they want to rest him for this week and then the bye week. So a couple of things going into play there. So I think he's going to be a game time decision.
Okay, but I mean, again, I'm taking Herbert over Geno Smith any day of the week. Plus, it's in LA. What's nice is that neither one of those teams really have to travel. If it were in Seattle, it's a short trip, short plane ride. But I'm gonna go the Chargers -5 here.
I would lean Seattle plus the 5 points. I know there's defense starting to wake up a little bit. They had 6 sacks last week against the Cardinals, which the Cardinals have been struggling on. They had a couple injuries. Left Justin Pugh, Rodney Hudson has been out. Was out on their O line last week. So there's been a little bit on the struggle bus. Arizona, until this past Thursday. So I will lean towards the +5 of Seattle. However, I do like this game as far as the over 50.5 points. So I am going to take that pick. Both teams, can run. I mean, Los Angeles has been a little bit more inconsistent when it comes to a running game. But Seattle, they haven't been able to stop the run. Like either team has been really been able to stop the run. I think Seattle's giving up close to 160 yards a game. Chargers, I want to say they're at 120, 140. Not really good. So both teams have seen their struggles when it comes to stopping the run, and with Austin Eckler on one side and Kenneth Walker on the other side, and the Seattle's offensive line has really been gelling. Like, they got 2 rookie tackles who's really been playing well so far this year. Kenneth Walker, he's legit. You just watching him run. He's like pressing the hole, bouncing it outside. His flexibility, his elusiveness, how he can break tackles. He's going to be a problem. So both offenses are good. So I do expect. And then like Keenan Allen, if Keenan Allen plays, I definitely like the over more. But because Tariq Woolen from Seattle, he's been balling too this year. 6'4" corner out there. He'd probably be lined up against Mike Williams. So I expect maybe some of the slot corners. Well, not slot corners, but slot receivers. I know Josh Palmer is hurt, so maybe it's like another guy or Gerald Everett to have a big game just coming up as well. Also DK Metcalf. He had a little down game last week, so I expect him to have a better game this week.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning towards the over on this as well. I have more faith in Justin Herbert than I do in Geno Smith. Really is really what it came down to for the actual spread on this one. The over is really appealing. My concern is just whether Keenan Allen is going to play and whether he's going to be healthy or not. I think one of the issues is if he does play, I think they're going to try to force feed him the ball a lot just to kind of get him back into it, which sometimes works, sometimes is very detrimental to the team, and it kind of gets the team out of the flow. But I am also a little hesitant with, Kenneth Walker kind of being the focal point now of that offense. I think they're going to try to force feed him, which you run the ball a lot more, you get a lot less possessions typically, just because you're going to run down the game clock. So, and 50 points seems like it's a lot. So I would lean towards the over, but I was hesitant to mess with the point total on this one.
Yeah, I know. Earlier in the week, the point total was at 51.5 too. So I think a lot more money is coming in on the under. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure what's going to play going into play with all that. Maybe it's just because of injuries with the Chargers wide receivers, but I think they'll get creative enough to score in other ways.
Okay. Well, we're gonna swing it back to you. You have 2 picks out there right now. What's your third?
Okay, so my third pick, I'm rolling with Jacksonville -3 over the New York Giants. Just with the strengths of their offense, both teams, is more run, is stronger in the run game. You look at the game last week with Jacksonville against the Colts. Colts has been strong against running backs the whole year. But the Jacksonville Jaguars just gashed them last week. It was over. I can't remember the exact number. It was over 200 rushing yards. Travis Etienne, I think, averaged 8 yards. So had like 10 carries for 80 plus yards. James Robinson had a pretty good game, but the touchdown came from Jermichael Hasty, who ran that 61 yarder. So they were gashing them. And if you look this year with the Giants, they are giving up. I think they're 30th in when it comes to rush. I think they're giving up 145 yards a game on the ground. So it's going to be a way to attack them. You look at their game last week against the Ravens. They had a hard time stopping the run, stopping power in particular. You know, Drake London, not Drake London, Kenyon Drake had over 100 yards off of 10 carries, and obviously, just Baltimore is just hard. They're going to run the ball anyway. They're the Ravens. But they just had a hard time stopping power, and this this running attack they're going to face is multidimensional. With the Giants, their strength is also in the running game. I think they're averaging over 160 yards, a game. Most of that is inflated just because of a lot of QB run. And Jacksonville's only giving up 89 yards a game. I think if you look at the game last week against the Colts, the way to beat them is through the air. And just with the lack of wide receiver depth right now, the Giants aren't capable of doing that right now. So I'm going with Jacksonville -3. Outside of the records, the teams are a lot closer than their records would indicate.
Yeah. So I have this one in the big boy parlay. I didn't take it as one of my top 5s, and I actually didn't take the spread because I think this game could go either way. Saquon could go off, but like you said, that running attack for Jacksonville is very dangerous as well. Having Robinson and ETN back there. Trevor Lawrence kind of coming into his own this year, which is good to see. I don't know. There's something about Daniel Jones that I just like watching him play. It's like a more athletic Carson Wentz. But
my gosh.
so I actually have this as the over. So I think both these teams are going to score a decent amount of points. So the over, when I got it, it was at 43. It's since moved to 43.5. So I'm actually going to take the over of 43.5 here.
I can dig it, and I'll even do a bold prediction for you. Travis Etienne will have 2 touchdowns this week.
Okay, I'm marking that one down.
And I've been trying to buy low on him. Trevor, for the listeners, he's been on this pod a couple of times, but trying to get him, like he's on his fantasy team right now. I've been trying to get him for a couple of times, but Trevor's a little bit more savvy than your average fantasy football player, so I've been able to buy him low. So,
ETN, you think he's going to have 2 rushing touchdowns, or you think one could be a passing, or like what? Or how specific are we going to get with that prediction?
I would like to say 2 rushing touchdowns, but he's also been used through the air too. So I'm going with 2. I'm going with 2 total touchdowns.
2 total. Okay, fair enough. I don't think that's going to happen, but
hey, if you want to put some side money on it, hey, we can do this outside of the show.
We can do that. Anyway, yeah. So I got the over there, but that's not one of my top 5. So I'll move into my next pick here. I actually have Green Bay at Washington. I'm going to take Green Bay -4.5. It's kind of comical that this line was at 5.5 until Carson Wentz was ruled out, and then it moved to 4.5. So sounds to me like there's a little more faith in Taylor Heineke than there is in Carson Wentz.
I think people are a lot more bearish on the Packers. That's why that spread moved down like that.
So you're telling me that it's based off of them being bearish on the Packers, despite the fact that as soon as Carson Wentz was announced that he was not playing, that the line moved?
Oh, did you watch the Packers game last week? Did you watch them play
I
two
did
two
not
block kicks?
actually. I
Yeah,
did
two
not.
block. Yeah, they had two block kicks. Scoop and score. They got whooped by
Their
the.
offense didn't look very good though, did it?
No, no, they only scored 10 points. However, the Jets are a very
Okay.
solid defense this year. Quentin Williams has been probably the defensive player of the year for these past 2 weeks. Quentin Williams in the linebacker, Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed's been balling. So this Jets team, they are pretty solid in the defense end.
Yeah, I really like the Jets this year. They're looking good. I like what Salah's doing with them. I like Sauce Gardner. I like Quentin Williams. That defense is looking very strong. I actually have the Jets included in the big boy parlay. I don't want to pivot too hard away from talking about Green Bay. I guess before I jump into the Jets talk here, with Green Bay, it's just more so that they have the two-headed monster back there at running back, Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. I think Rodgers he's got to have a better game than what he had last week. They've got to put up points. I know that I believe Watson's out. I think Romeo Doubs and Alan Lazard are the two main receivers for them right now. So I don't know that I expect that defense to step up. I don't know what Taylor Heineke's going to do. I mean, obviously he came in last year and had played well. I mean, he's serviceable, right? But he's not. I don't know if last year was a fluke or if he's going to be able to come in and do the same things. I don't know. 4.5 points for the Green Bay Packers. I feel like that one should be a lock.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I would lean more towards the over. I think the over is at 40. Was it at 42?
Let me check real
43?
quick for you.
I would lean towards that as well. I think just with Taylor
41
Heineke,
and a half.
yeah, 41 and a half. Yeah, I'll lean towards the over. Just like you said, it's time for time for the Packers to show up. And you got the secondary that they're going against, who's kind of been playing bad the whole year. So I can see big games out of Alan Lazard, who's actually been really good against man coverage this year.
Such
Romeo
a big body.
Yeah, bigger guy, big body. I mean, you see like some of the throws that he caught last week. You see that back shoulder against the Jets last week. It was pretty sweet. Man coverage. They seemed like 30s. I think the Jets played about 37% of their snaps in cover one last week. So I don't think they'll see that again this week. But I mean, usually like the slot receivers, the Commanders been giving up a lot of slot receivers this year. So I could definitely and then Alan Lazard sometimes can go in the slot. So I could see him having a big game. Romeo Doubs having a big game. I do have him in some of my lineups on DFS this week. And on the Commander side of the ball, Taylor Heineke he's going to scramble a little bit more than Carson Wentz would. And with the offensive line kind of injured right now, I could definitely see him scrambling a little bit more. He had a little bit of a connection with Terry McLaurin, so I could definitely see him having a better game than expected. Juwan Dotson might be out for this game, so it's going to be maybe I'm sorry, the other receiver, Curtis Samuel, I couldn't think of his name. So he might see a little bit more volume this week. So I don't know. This game could be a little bit higher scoring than the 41 and a half implied total.
Yeah. I think it really comes down to the play of Taylor Heineke. If we see that chemistry that he had built with some of those guys previously, if that's back, then great. If not, I mean, I think Packers run away with this one. And this is kind of a dumb statement. It goes without saying, but if Taylor Heineke doesn't play well, then I don't see them putting up a lot of points. It'll be hard for them to get that running game going.
Yeah. I could see Brian Robinson maybe because the Packers have been struggling defensively this year as well. I think they are 28th in turnovers. They only got 4 turnovers this year. So if they could turn the ball over, we can see what happens. Their the Russian defense haven't been all that great this year. Well, they just got gassed last week. However, the Jets are using like really creative formations, creative motions, to kind of get their running game going. I don't see that this week, but I definitely see maybe Brian Robinson just squirming free for like 30-yard touchdown, some fluke like that. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. They may try to incorporate the running back pass a little bit more with J.D. McKissick and Antonio Gibson as well. So.
Yeah, yeah. Since we hit on the Jets a little bit, do you have anything on the Jets and Denver game? Are you taking that as like one of your top fives?
No. I don't want to talk about the Broncos. I just refuse to do it unless I absolutely have to. Yeah, at this juncture, I really don't have to. So.
Well, I am going to. So they're part of the big boy parlay. They're not one of my top fives. And this is kind of what I was alluding to at the beginning of the show with the agility and the ability to make stuff like real time when we're talking about it. I took New York, Denver over 37.5 back when I thought Russ was playing. I know it doesn't really make much sense since they haven't really been putting up a ton of points with Russ regardless. But since Brett Rippon has been announced as the starter, the total only dropped a point. So they're saying Russell Wilson's only worth an extra point for the total. So it's dropped to 36.5, but I got it at 37.5. I think obviously both these defenses are going to be stars of the game here. As we had already talked about, the Jets have a really strong defense, but then Denver, that's really the only bright spot for that team right now, at least as they've played up to this point, because of obviously the struggles that offense has seen with Russ. I just think, so for me, I think the Jets are going to put up a lot of points here, just because of, Breece Hall's coming into his own. He's been playing really well. And then Zach Wilson is looking like a really solid quarterback right now. So I for me, I think that, 37.5, so we're talking 38 points. I think for two NFL teams, that point total seems low. Obviously, this game could very well end up being like a 12-9 all field goal type game, just based off the defenses. But I'm going to lean towards the over on this one, included it in the parlay. So yeah, over 37.5. I know you don't want to talk about Denver, but do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I would never lean towards the over when it comes to Denver Broncos until I see anything different.
That's the other thing too.
But it's more just you're just more so on the Jets side.
Yeah,
they'll score more.
Yeah, and I think also, with the Jets, in my opinion, the Jets are the much better team in this matchup here. Just based off what we've seen so far for this year, talent wise, it's tough to say that because when you look at the Broncos offense, talent-wise, I think that they're actually a more talented team with their receivers and Melvin Gordon being back there. It seems like, him and Nathaniel Hackett hash things out, and Gordon's the official starter this week. I think the Denver Broncos have a more talented offense if everyone plays to what we expect them to. However, right now the Jets are playing like they're a much better team all around. So I am definitely more high on the Jets than I am on the Broncos.
Yeah, and just with the Denver's defense too. I mean, I just I can't do it. I'm not there with you, bro.
That's fine. Hey, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay,
that's on the big boy though, not the top five.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's not my top five. That's just on the big boy parlay. So I'm actually going to go ahead and throw out another one. I know we just talked about mine, but we got 3 of yours and 2 of mine so far. So I'll go ahead and throw out my third. Detroit at Dallas. I'm going to take the over of 48.5 here. Dak's back. I think he's going to be slinging it. We know the Lions can score despite what we just recently saw from the Lions. But I think Dallas goes up early. Lions have to throw the ball a lot more. So I think we're going to see a lot of garbage time touchdowns. Big possibility here. But again, in this game, I'm more high on the Cowboys than I am on the Lions to score a lot of points here. At least in the beginning of the game. I think they're going to, as I mentioned, some garbage time is going to come into play here. But I see the Cowboys scoring somewhere in the 30s. And then I could see the Lions putting up probably going into the fourth with 10 points and then somehow scoring 2 touchdowns to give them 24. So that's kind of how I ended up on this over.
I like it. Only reservation I had just with the health of Dak Prescott. Just with hand injuries. I want to see it first before leap and say they're going to score a lot of points. But I definitely have him in some of my fan or DFS lineups. Just in case he does pop off. But I definitely can see the over. I think Goff will struggle a little bit this game, just because Dallas, they can get to the quarterback. And you see historically when Jared Goff gets pressure, he struggles. So that's the reason, like, I kind of, stay away like from this game, just like kind of just those two reasons. But I definitely see it going over, especially if just with the Detroit's defense they've been putting out. It's been pretty atrocious. So I definitely can see Dallas offensively having a big game. Ezekiel Elliott having 2 touchdowns today. I mean, I can definitely see that happening. So just with more red zone opportunities that they could get, bearing Dak Prescott is healthy.
I'm also going to go out on a limb and say that Dallas scores a defensive touchdown. I think because of that pressure, I think Goff's going to make a big mistake, whether it's a fumble, scoop and score, sack strip, scoop and score, or a pick six where he's under pressure and tries to throw one of those out routes, and Diggs just comes underneath and takes it to the house. So I see Dallas scoring a defensive touchdown here, which is going to help that total.
Yeah, I do like Amon-Ra St. Brown is coming back as well this week, so I guess definitely see him having a big game coming in the slot. So yeah, well, I do like the over though.
All right, well, let's go to pick number 4 for you.
All right, so my fourth pick, I'm going with, I mean, not really a big, huge fan of taking the favorites in divisional matchups, but I am going to roll with Tennessee over the Colts minus the 2.5. Tennessee coming off a bye. We do see Vrabel. I view Vrabel as a good coach, so teams usually get better after the bye. So I'm banking on that. And like I mentioned earlier with the Jaguars and the Colts game last week, how the Colts got gashed, in the run game. Now you got to go to Nashville where you have to face Derrick Henry for 4 quarters. Yeah, good luck with that. Also, just like past three or four matchups, Tennessee has had the Colts number these last 3 or 4 times. So playing at home. Jonathan Taylor coming back. So I don't think the Colts will be as pass happy as they were last week. They threw the ball, I think 58 times, I want to say. Matt Ryan had one of his old, his prime Atlanta Falcons games. So I don't see that happening this week. Although Tennessee has been struggling in their secondary this year, they have been giving up the most. I think they gave up the most deep plays. So I do like Alec Pierce this week. However, I think that we'll keep that somewhat to a minimum, just because they know their opponent. They coming off a bye. Derrick Henry's going to come in. Going to have a pretty solid game. So I could see Tennessee going that covering this time.
Yeah, I stayed away from this just because Jonathan Taylor's coming back. I know he hasn't really done a ton this year. I just think it's going to be an extra push for the Colts. The Colts are, that they know that they're kind of in a position where they need to win some of these divisional games to get things moving. So I'm not saying I think the Colts are going to win. This one was too much of a coin flip for me to even touch.
Yeah, no, I dig it. Yeah, divisional matchups. I mean, taking a favorite. It's tough. But I just felt convicted this time around.
Fair enough. Okay, well, I'm going to go into my fourth pick. We got Kansas City at San Francisco. What do you think I'm going to go with here?
If I were you, I'll go with the under.
I'm not touching the total on this one, just because I think both teams have the ability to either score a bunch or not score at all. I'm going to go with Kansas City -2. The line has moved to -1.5, but when I got him, Kansas City was -2. I think that there's a lot of hype coming in with Christian McCaffrey. He's going to be suiting up and playing, but I know at the beginning of the season I said I didn't even think that the Chiefs were going to, finish in the top 2 in the division. So it was a bold statement to make, but I don't know. I like the Chiefs here. Patrick Mahomes, Juju starting to get involved a little bit more. Travis Kelce's still the guy there. I don't know. I would probably lean towards the over here, honestly. But I'm taking Kansas City -2.
Yeah, I can dig it. I see it happening. The reason I like the under, just like you said, these teams can like score. I mean, they can score a lot or not, or not score a whole lot. So with San Francisco, they, I don't know where they're at after last week. They just got, they got crushed last week by the Falcons. But they were the number one scoring defense in the NFL. They're getting a little bit healthier now. Bosa's coming back, which is kind of a mismatch for Orlando Brown. Jimmy Ward is coming back. I think Shavarius Ward is maybe coming back as well to get some help for the secondary. And this may be the Chiefs wide receivers have been having a hard time getting off on man coverage. That's where they really miss Tyreek Hill. So I mean, the 49ers aren't much of a man team, so they'll be getting a lot of zones. So maybe Juju Smith-Schuster I can see him having a big game. But I like the under here. On San Francisco side of the ball. I'm not sure how many snaps I'm not sure how many snaps Christian McCaffrey will see. I heard 5 to 20, but now I'm not too sure. I mean, it's surprising to me. I mean, he's going to be able to play. He just got there on Friday. So I mean, I do see. I can see Jimmy Garoppolo passing a little bit more. It just depends on how much Kansas City scores. So, but with them getting healthier, I think I will be. I think I just like the under just because they're just getting healthier. Bosa's coming back. He's going to wreak havoc on the edge. So I would lean towards the under, but this game was just too close to call for me.
You just like bad football. I get it.
I like good football. That Bills and Chiefs game last year, that was good football. It was under.
Yeah, that was really good
A
football
lot,
to watch.
yeah, a lot under. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, let's go. Let's see here. That was my fourth. So let's go back for you to wrap your 5 picks up here. Who do you got?
All right, so I'm taking Cleveland plus 6.5 over the Baltimore Ravens. No people looking at this probably thinking like you're crazy. The Browns have looked like complete trash. I think they're on a 3-game losing streak. But you really look at it, outside of the Patriots who scored their last 2 touchdowns, in the fourth quarter, to make it a 20 plus defeat. They lost by 1 point, 2 points, and 3 points. And just look at the rivalry, like the last 3 games, even with Baker Mayfield. These games have been close. Last year, I think it was a 16-10 game. Lamar threw four interceptions. Usually off a 20-point loss, Cleveland's going to have something to prove. I think they're going to win? I don't think so. I think it's going to be more of a field goal game, more of a grinded out game. Both running the attacks. Going trying to get some points on the running game. I see Jacoby Brissett playing a little bit better. Off a 20-point loss, I do like Cleveland covering the 6.5, and I think that's a really big spread. For the divisional matchup, even on the road.
I mean, I agree. I'm not taking the spread here. I do have something on this game. I'm taking the under 45.5. I think for a lot of the reasons you just said, they're both running teams. They're going to run the ball. But I do see a lot of drives ending in field goals. The spread, I don't know. That's 6.5 does seem like a lot of points for a divisional game, but I mean this could be a touchdown game, touchdown difference in the total. But I do see this game kind of probably ending up closer to like a 20-17 type game. So that plus 6.5 could stand. And 45.5 points does seem kind of low, especially for the Ravens. Let's look at what the Ravens are averaging 26.3 points a game, and the Browns are averaging 24.7. So, with both those teams averaging those points, like the over seems like a good play here, but I don't know. This is just a feeling. I'm trying to justify my feeling right now and put it and verbalize it, but I just see this game going under, being a slower moving game, a lot of ground and pound on both sides of the ball, and that clock just continuing to run.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a drag it out game. I know I'm not sure with Rashad Bateman. Last I checked, he was going to be questionable. I know Denzel Ward is going to be out for the Browns, so that's going to be big. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney's going. I think he's coming back. Miles Sanders, not Miles Sanders. Miles Garrett. I think he's going to play it today as well. I mean, it's just time for this Cleveland defense to show up. I mean, they're supposed to be a really good unit. They got a lot of talent. They got Deion Jones, is going to come in and play today after getting traded from the Falcons. So I think it's time for this unit to show up. So I mean, with after getting blown out last week against the Patriots, I think they have a lot to prove. As far as the Cleveland's offense on the offense side of the ball for Cleveland, I think it will be tough selling for Amari Cooper. Baltimore's been really good on the outside. So I mean I can see a big game from David Njoku, maybe even get some splash plays from rookie David Bell from Purdue, third rounder for Purdue. So yeah, I do like the under here, just because just could be a drag it out kind of fight. So yeah, like I think we're in line. I think we're much aligned on this game.
I don't know if I said that this was one of my top fives. It's not, but that is part of the parlay.
Also, I'm sorry, Zach. Just to add, Baltimore is their lack to beat. I mean, with Rashad Bateman being out, this has been really hard for them to beat man coverage on the outside. You see the game last year; they were bracketing Mark Andrews, and on the outside, Demarcus Robinson, Devin Duvernay. They're having a hard time to being man coverage. So that's where Lamar Jackson kind of struggled last week. So if Rashad Bateman comes back, that would be somewhat better for him. But I still do like Cleveland plus 6.5.
Yeah. So with Bateman, it says that he is expected to suit up for Sunday's game.
Gotcha.
And then Andrews was hurt a little bit too, his knee, but he's expected to play as well. So I don't know. I mean, two guys that have been injured. I guess we just got to see how they're going to actually show up. But yeah, I don't know. I like both of our picks here. I think it is going to be a field goal game. But so we're actually down to my last pick also of my top five, which just actually rounds out the big boy parlay as well. But Houston at Las Vegas. Vegas is favored by 7. I'm taking Vegas here, coming off of a bye. I expect them to come out hungry, ready to put up some points. Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs has been looking really good recently, so I expect them to keep
number one running back in usage rate, I want to say either the season or for at least for his past 2 weeks,
which is crazy because I mean preseason reports were that he was on a trade block, and now they're just running him like he's Booby Miles, man. Just like every play, giving him the ball. So
their uniforms kind of do look like the Permian Panthers uniforms.
A little bit. But I mean, Houston just hasn't really shown up that well. I mean, they continue to play teams tough, but Davis Mills just hasn't played, as well as what he showed last year, in his rookie season. I think there's a difference too with when you look at Davis Mills. Last year he was a rookie, wasn't supposed to be in there, right? Like no one expected him to get any snaps. He ended up being the starter for the whole season. So he was kind of just playing just to play, he's kind of out there having fun. And now when you become the actual named starter, they start to try to game plan for you and try to, play to your strengths. And sometimes that doesn't really work out very well. And then other defenses also didn't know what to expect with you. And now they have a whole season of film. So, I don't know. I like the Raiders here. I like that defense. I think Crosby's going to really get after the quarterback today, have a big game. Dameon Pierce does run hard. He runs angry, he runs aggressive, but I just don't think that's going to be enough for them to keep this game close. I actually think the Raiders are going to win this game big, probably by about 17 points.
That's a lot of points. 17 is. I mean, I can see the -7. I can see that happening. I don't like it. Just because the Texans has been weird. I mean, you just never know. Like they're coming off a bye too, so you just never know what to expect. So I kind of avoided that game. But if I had to lean, it would be Raiders -7. But you just look at all their games this year. Their games last year. They just like playing in close games all the time. Like so that's kind of why I kind of faded from this, but I definitely could see them, getting ready to explode, start going on like a win streak. They can arguably, they're a lot better team than their record indicated. So they had definitely had a chance to beat the Chiefs, Monday Night Football a couple weeks ago. So I could definitely see that -7.
Yeah. So that's going to wrap it up. So just quick recap. Avery, you want to go through your top 5 real quick?
Sure thing. So I had Carolina under the 12.5 total. I had Jacksonville -3 over the New York Giants. I had Tennessee -2.5 over the Indianapolis Colts. I have the Cleveland Browns +6.5 over the Baltimore Ravens, and I had the Seattle Seahawks and Los Angeles Chargers over the 50.5 total.
Okay. And then for me, I got the Chargers -7 over Seattle, Green Bay -4.5 over Washington, Detroit and Dallas over 48.5 point total. Kansas City, San Francisco, I got Kansas City by 2. Houston Texans Raiders. I got the Raiders by 7. So we got a lot of I think this might actually be the first week where we don't have any contrarian picks. So there's a chance for both of us to go 5-0.
Hey man, if you want me to go Seattle +5, I could do it. Just for for the sake of it.
No, I want you to keep what you're most comfortable with. But
hey, man,
I am gonna.
It's provocative, man. It gets the people going.
It is. What does that even mean? Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It'd be cool. Honestly, it'd be cool if we both go 5-0 this week.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was really cool. Really cool.
But quick run through of the big boy parlay here. So we got Cleveland, Baltimore under 45.5, Chargers -5, Giants, Jacksonville over 43, Green Bay, Washington. We got Green Bay -4.5, Detroit, Dallas over 48.5. Kansas City -2 over San Francisco, and then the Raiders -7 over the Texans. And last but not least, Denver and New York over 37.5. That's an 8-leg parlay at plus 17,544. So risk a little, win a lot. Risk a lot, win a whole lot. Whatever your preference is there. We don't shame people for whatever their unit bet is. If you bet 10 cents or if you bet $10,000, you have a chance to really multiply your investment there. So that's all I got for today. Avery, you got anything you want to share with the people before we wrap up?
I do not. Appreciate you, Zach. Once again, I appreciate all the listeners out there. Listening, tuning into us. Hopefully, we start winning you guys some money if you guys, listen to our bets. I'm not sure what you guys are doing, but hopefully we start, turn our records turn around and start becoming profitable this year.
Yeah, that's the goal. I'm obviously I love NFL season, but obviously when sports gambling actually turns on here, we're going to be playoff time and different things like that. But NBA is, I enjoy gambling on the NBA too. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm with you. I want things to switch here and become a much more profitable show for the listeners out there.
Hey, did you gamble on the Mavericks blowing the 22-point lead against the Suns?
Listen, we've already moved on. We won last night. We won big against Memphis. Christian Wood is crushing it. He's had 25 points both games so far. Double.
Yeah, I got him for free pretty much too.
Yeah, and honestly, like that's been the biggest missing piece for the Mavericks is a big man who can score. Like
Yeah.
we've always had big guys like that are tall and long, and they're big bodies down low, but he's actually a talented big guy who can put points up. We're still starting JaVale McGee, which is crazy to me. I feel like JaVale McGee's been in the league for 47 years now.
Hey, there's always a market for athletic bigs. You know that.
Always.
So, but I mean, I don't appreciate you disrespecting the Kristaps Porzingis like you just did. But it's okay. I'll let you go.
You can't be an athlete when you're never in the game.
Well, he was in the game.
He was hurt quite a bit.
Yeah, I thoroughly remember Kristaps playing.
Okay, well, he was hurt quite a bit as well,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And I mean, I'm pretty sure he had like a sexual assault case that he was battling too, like overseas somewhere. So,
oh man,
I'm sure his mind wasn't necessarily in the game.
Oh my goodness! I apologize to the Porzingis family. That attack was very unnecessary.
Allegedly, he allegedly had a sexual assault case against him overseas. So, anyway, good riddance.
These turns just go for the worst. It never ends. It never ends.
But anyway, that's going to wrap up today's show. Again, if you are listening to us, please go check us out on YouTube, Bourbon and Bets. If you're watching us on YouTube and want to watch us listen to us when you're in the car on a run or whatever, go ahead and listen to us on any podcast platform. Actually, last week's episode, we had some issues with getting the podcast uploaded. The hosting site was down, so that one didn't get posted on podcasting platforms, but YouTube's been reliable for us so far, getting everything up and posted on there. So do us a favor and just any type of engagement on YouTube, like the video, comment, share it, whatever you can do. That stuff all helps. But thanks again for tuning in. Another great episode, Avery. I appreciate you and your expertise. You take it another level with like your research and all of that stuff. So definitely appreciate that insight. Congrats again on the new edition coming. So congrats there, and looking forward to chatting again on the next episode.
Hey man, I appreciate you having me once again. Appreciate your kind words. I appreciate I'm sorry. Congratulations on you and Taylor's 1 year anniversary. 1 year down, many more to go. And 2003 crystal ball.
All right. Well, that's going to be it. Wrapping it up. Thanks, Avery.
Thank you, Zach.